thank you also to the organizer for this nice opportunity. Also, this presentation will be dealing with carbon and with, yes, scientific aspects, but also political aspects, because, you know, the issue of carbon farming is not really yet solved. And there are many questions still open. The problem of climate change is a big one, and you know that since a while we came to budgets, and in this budgeting of carbon and greenhouse fluxes, agriculture is considered more a source, than a sink, while forest has the role of sink, almost only the forest. So our hypothesis was to to check if agriculture could be included as a sink, and how this can be done in a quantitative way. So the option is that field crops may still have a big role as a source, but perennials could represent a significant, sink as a whole. So perennials have many advantages with respect to field crops. They grow a permanent structure. They stand undisturbed in the same field for many years. They have a lot of pruning debris, and they often are grass covered. So all these features can enforce their sink capacity. This was our hypothesis 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, more or less, we started measuring carbon absorption by vineyard especially. So the issue of carbon in agriculture has recently got a lot of attention, especially after COP21 in Paris. The French Ministry of Agriculture launched this 4 per mil initiative. I mean, claiming that if we were able to increase the soil organic matter by 0.4% every year, that could compensate all the emissions, at the global scale. So really a big effect. It is maybe too much, this claiming, but there is some truth behind. But the issue is that how can we assess, gauge, and certify carbon sequestration? This is an issue which is still very open. And even the European community, which is going to define rules for carbon farming, has not really a clear idea yet. So our hypothesis is focused on vineyards, and yes, you know, these systems are really nice systems because they are permanent. A lot of grass around, so soil organic matter stays quiet in the soil and can build up. Anyway, they are not simple systems, and the measurement of carbon dioxide fluxes is not easy. We should somehow separate the grass floor, the vines, and this is not easy. So the fluxes are really complicated because there is respiration going on, photosynthesis going on, and the best option is to measure the so-called net ecosystem exchange, so the bulk fluxes above the canopy, which include the release of CO2 from respiration and the absorption of CO2 from photosynthesis. So measuring the net ecosystem exchange, which is something that is possible to measure through quite a complicated technique, but this technique today is really feasible. The technique is called eddy covariance, and the eddy covariance rely on the measurement of turbulent transport above the canopy, and using specialized instrumentation, which is a spatial anemometer, a sonic anemometer, and a fast infrared gas analyzer. We are running 2 stations of vineyards since almost 10 years. I mean, we have the longest series of measurements on vineyards, so we are really able to understand how vineyards work in our climate. And actually, the hypothesis that we started 20 years ago has been really proved to be true. These are numbers concerning the yearly accumulation, the yearly exchange of CO2 from vineyard to the atmosphere. You know, positive values are release of CO2, negative values are the absorption of CO2, and these are, years running from November down to November to late, 12 months of activity. You see that every year, almost every year, the vineyard ends up with something like 5, 7, even more, 150 grams of CO2 per square meter per year. So this is really substantial. And if we think that the harvest represent only 30% typically of the carbon which the crop is gaining during the season, we can assume that a lot of carbon remains into the field. So this is, a very nice result, and this can really compensate all the technical inputs that are given to the vineyard. So the vineyard, the field phase of the vineyard is really carbon, or can be really carbon neutral. So this is the most interesting thing that we gathered. We are confident that this data will be useful to lay down rules to assess carbon farming for vineyard, and open also this technique also open the same way for all the perennials that really have the potential to sequester carbon in a very substantial amount. So I thank you, and thank you again for all the participants for listening.